So the justice system in South Africa has proven time and time again that the only time a person can get justice in this country is if their story comes to social media. Someone, please make that make sense to me. But if what you want from us is to shout to the highest mountain, we will deliver. If what you want from us is to cause commotion and riot on social media, we will deliver. If what you want from us is to sign petitions so this child can get justice, we will deliver that, because we are so tired. We are so tired. I cannot even begin to fathom, as a mother to a 7-year-old girl, what that mother felt like when she went to that doctor's room and the doctor said, "I am sorry, ma'am, but your child has been essayed." And has been essayed at the time that she was at school. Ooh, I cannot even begin to fathom. We won't be quiet.
We are going to fight for Cwecwe and all the Cwekwes that cannot speak for themselves. Did you know that there are over 16,000 teachers that are currently operating and teaching in schools in South Africa? These are teachers that are teaching your children, that are teaching your nieces, your nephews, your neighbors, and every other child you can think of. 16,000 teachers are allowed in South Africa by the Department of Education to teach in South Africa while they have criminal records. Cwecwe has been harmed, but how many Cwekwes are going to be there until we finally stand up? So here's what we are going to do as a course of action. We are going to Google the email address of the regional or national or provincial Department of Education in your area, and we are going to ask them, how are they allowing 16,000 teachers that currently have criminal records to operate in schools? Because if they were able to close that school by saying that the school is closed because it failed to provide a safe environment for children, that means the department in itself are failing, because they are allowing 16,000 teachers who have criminal records to teach our children, giving 16,000 opportunities every single day for our children to be another Cwecwe. Justice for...
From the title of this video, I believe by now you know what you're about to watch. Hours ago, I made a video about what happened to this 7-year-old girl that was S8 in the school she was going to by a suspected principal. So what happened was that after, she was behaving strangely when she got home, she was very, very sensitive to touch. From the way she usually behaved, she was completely the opposite. She was kind of moody, she was crying that all over her body was paining her. Eventually, the parents had to rush her to the hospital. There in the hospital, it was confirmed that she was a SAID. Found out some semen from her, and they conducted a DNA test on that semen. And later, with the report, the parents eventually had to go and report it to the police station in South Africa. And later, police digging on the investigation, they later found out that it was 3 men that was involved in this girl's life: the driver, the caretaker, followed by the principal, which was the owner of the school the girl was attending. So the driver and the caretaker easily gave the medical center and the police center themselves for the DNA results, for them to make any medical lab test to see if their DNA matches with the DNA of the 7-year-old girl. But the test came out negative, so it's now remaining the principal that refuses to submit himself for the test. And it's as if now bribery and corruption is involved. I believe the South Africa police, they have received huge amount of money from this principal. I believe that's why they're not forcing him to submit himself for the DNA. So that was actually what led to the frustration of the mom of this 7-year-old girl to come outside on social media to please beg the world that they should please help them to seek for justice of what happened to their 7-year-old daughter. So I've already made a video about this particular case of how the mom explained everything that happened to her 7-year-old daughter. But in this particular video, I'll be playing you different reactions of different people coming out of social media to air their own personal thoughts, frustration, opinion about what is going on. And then I'll let you guys to watch the video before I'll come back to let you know what I have to say in this case.
This
is her story.
On the 14th of October 2024 in Matatile in the Eastern Cape, it started off like a normal school day for 7-year-old Cwecwe Mishinzana. However, by the end of the day, her life would forever be changed. Her mother worked out of town, and so they utilized school transport. That day, however, it dropped her home late from school. Even though her dad had mentioned it to her mom, no one thought too much of it. The following day, the little girl went to school as normal, whilst her baby brother, who was 1 year old at the time, went to the GP, as he wasn't feeling too well. The little girl thus returned home that afternoon and complained of a stomachache. After 2 more visits to the bathroom, she complained of more pain, this time in the nether regions. Her mother believed that she might just be ill, and so she gave her medication for her stomach and told the little girl to wake her up if the pain persisted. The next morning, Wednesday, she was barely able to walk, crying out in pain. This is when her mother examined her and made the disturbing discovery. After a visit to the doctor, her mother's worst fears were confirmed. The last thing that her mother had ever expected. Her daughter had been the victim of a brutal assault. The little girl would go on to see multiple doctors, a nurse and a psychologist. It would emerge that on that Monday, whilst waiting for her transport driver, the school caretaker had told her to sweep the classroom. She remembered randomly feeling tired whilst doing it, dozing off, and then waking up to the same caretaker telling her that her transport had arrived. And honestly, that is the furthest to this day that the investigation has gone. The caretaker and transport driver have both cooperated with the police, but the principal of the school, the third man who was allegedly in the building on the day, opted rather to lawyer up, essentially expel the young girl, and accuse her mother of not handling things professionally. He has also apparently refused to provide a DNA sample to rule out his involvement in the entire ordeal. Since then, not much headway has been made in the legal case. However, Bergview College, the school where the incident took place, has been issued a notice by the Eastern Cape Education Department to be deregistered. This follows the absolutely horrendous incident, as well as the lack of cooperation from the principal of the school. The decision, which was announced on Friday, apparently becomes effective within 24 hours, with all the learners being placed in other schools in the area.
Imagine that this is the world that we're currently living in, where a young victim's experience is overlooked, thus making it so easy to become yet another statistic. This is the exact reason why I do what I do on my platform. She was 7 years old. She was in a school uniform. She was in a place that was supposed to be safe. She will not be just another number. There will be justice for her and for the countless other innocent victims and survivors just like her. Even if every single one of us out there use our voice.
Justice for Cwecwe. I did not know what the story was about until I saw a video of a friend of mine, Mrs. Bullock, advocating for people to sign the petition and be aware of what's going on. Now, if you don't know what's going on, the same as what I didn't know, please go and sign a petition. There is no reason that a 7-year-old girl should be SA'd at a school environment. Guys, this story cannot die. We need justice. The perpetrators need to be found and punished to the full extent of the law. Please do not let the story die down. Sign the petition, find out what's going on, find out how you can support. Let's protect our children.
Cwecwe was a white girl, and that fucker of a principal was a black man. This would have gone down so differently. No child deserves to go through what she went through. And also, looking at how her mother is fighting so hard to get justice for her, given what her mother has been through in her life too. When so many parents just allow this kind of stuff to happen and become a part of the problem. Justice for Cwecwe and her mother.
Well, guys, what we will not do is sit back and watch Ifemi Cwecwe herself not getting the justice she deserves. That is what we will not do. It has become so clear that for justice to be served in South Africa, it needs to trend. It needs to come to social media. So it is here now, and let's push it until they get the justice they deserve. So 7-year-old Cwecwe was sent to school on a normal day as a normal kid. After school, the caretaker asks her to go clean up a classroom. I don't understand which classroom must be cleaned by a 7-year-old unsupervised, and even that on its own was off. So the little girl gets sent to go clean up a classroom. She gets there, and the last thing she remembers in that classroom is the strong smell of burning tires, as she describes it. Next thing, she's being woken up by the caretaker who sent her to go clean the classroom, telling her that the transport is ready and she needs to go. Now that's the first red flag. It's not the first one, it's the second red flag. You're seeing a child just passed out in a classroom and all you can say is go, hey, your transport is waiting. You're not going to check if that child is okay. Did she collapse? What happened? Okay, fine. So the caretaker, it tells the child to go to the transport and go home. Transport guy takes the child home. Child gets home, she is very, very sick. The parents are like, oh yeah, children get sick. They give her medication. She goes to bed. She wakes up a couple of times in the night because she is in excruciating pain. She's 7 years old. Majority of the pain is down there. The parents wake up the following morning. The child is not getting better, and the child is actually telling the parents that I actually woke up multiple times last night because I'm just not feeling well. So the mother's like, no, man, let's examine this thing. Let's check this child out. They check the child out. They see that down there's something that definitely happened. So they take the child to the doctor, and the doctor confirms that yeah, the child was essayed. So now the parents are like, where could it have happened? And they ask the child, and the child tells them, I was sent to clean a class, and the next thing I'm smelling burnt tires, and the next thing I'm on the floor or wherever else she was, and I'm feeling this excruciating pain. So the parents are like, where was she? She was at school. They go to the school to report the matter because teachers and the principal are the parents to the child for the 6 hours that the child is there, are they not? So then the samples are taken. So DNA samples are taken from the caretaker who sent the child to clean the class and the transport guy, who are the only people who are in contact with that child in that space of time. The results come back clear. And so they're like, principal, we're gonna need you to take test 2. And he was like, no, that is not gonna happen. And so now this raises many eyebrows because why don't you want to be tested? What are you hiding? Because the other 2 comply? Why are you not complying? Forgive my tone, I am pissed beyond any level of being pissed. This is probably the 3rd time I'm filming this because I keep needing to bring myself towards myself. So then this guy is like, no, the reputation of the school will be ruined. So what reputation are you talking about? A child was violated in your school and you're you are resisting all the necessary measures that need to get taken to make sure that that child's perpetrator is found. And what reputation is it? So the SAPS is quiet. I mean, when have they ever said anything? The SAPS is quiet. Nobody's saying anything. And the principal, he did not only distance himself from the situation, he went on to expel the poor child. So now the poor child doesn't have a school because all this is bringing a bad reputation to the school. Which reputation are you talking about? I'm baffled because what the fuck are you talking about? A child was violated in your freaking school and all you can say is, no, I don't want to bring a bad reputation. So you'd rather sweep a child being SA'd in your school under the carpet just so your school seems all glitz and glam on the outside? I feel for the parents whose kids still go to that school. Bergville College, that's what it's called. I feel so bad. I feel so scared for all the other little girls who go to that school. That is not a safe space for children, apparently. I'm pissed beyond, guys. Let us share this. Let us not keep quiet. That family deserves justice. That little girl deserves justice. We can't just look away. We can't. Let us speak until someone or something changes. Asoze tu. Because tenga afuna unikisa ngesample yakhe. Makanikisa ngesample yakhe andiba akenza ngando. If anything, I don't understand. A child is essayed in your school and the first thing you think is like, this is going to be bad publicity. Like, why don't you think, oh my word, it's a child. What can we do to protect the other children? What can we do to find the person who did this to this child so that we eject them from the school? Like, diabila, kunsindo, diabila. Because abantwana bethu are not safe in these schools. I'm fuming. I'm livid. Because what the actual fuck?
We gotta talk about what is happening in South Africa and why so many people are out on the streets demanding justice for a 7-year-old. I'm gonna go into a lot of distressing details. If you cannot listen to that right now, that's absolutely understandable. When Cwecwe, and I hope I'm saying her name somewhat correctly, she went to Bergview College. This is the same school where she was S8. The only reason why this is getting any type of attention right now is because her mother took this step and went to social media to ask for help. She says it was October 14th, 2024 on a Monday and I work out of town. When I came back from work, my husband complained about the school transport driver that dropped her late from school and I didn't really take it that serious. I let him handle things on his own and talk to him as they both are men. Now second day, Tuesday, October 15th, Cwecwe went to school and she didn't say anything to us. I have another child, a 1-year-old, and he wasn't feeling well, so I left my husband at home and went to work, as he was the one taking him to see a GP together with the helper, and I asked to leave early from work as I wanted to go check up on him as well. I got home early, and normally if I knock off early from work, I usually go pick up Cwecwe from school, but this day I decided otherwise as I thought it was still too early, so I didn't. School comes out at around 2 p.m. and at this point it was only 12 p.m. When Cwecwe finally came back home, I noticed that her trouser zip isn't properly closed. When we asked her why, she didn't answer, and we didn't really think anything of it. That night, she complained about having a stomach ache. After trying to use the bathroom, she came back out out and said that her bum is in pain. I believe she was just constipated at first. I gave her medication and sent her off to sleep. The next day, Cwecwe was struggling to walk, and I could see that she was still in excruciating pain. This is when I decided to now check her to see what's going on. As I tended to her, I saw a huge opening on her bum. She was red around the lining, and I informed my husband, and we were met with a horrific sight. But SA slipped both our minds, and it didn't occur to us that this is what it could have been. And she described, while regularly, the exit area is very tight, with her it looked like this. When we took her to the doctor said that this opening is because of SA. This is when I ran out of the room crying, as I know how it feels because I am a victim too. The doctor checked her on the front as well and said that there had been penetration there too. They then reported this to the authorities. When her dad asked her what happened, Cwecwe said that Malume, the transport driver, came to fetch us late that day, and while we were waiting for him, a school caretaker told me to sweep the classroom. When I was sweeping, I randomly got tired. I don't know from what and how, and I dozed off. Then I woke up when the school caretaker told me that the transport driver has arrived. The mom then called the transport driver to check with him. He said that he had told his colleague to pick up the kids, but then later on he was called by the school and told that the colleague didn't show. The mom was confused. The school has their numbers. They were never told that the kids were not picked up. Instead, they called the transport driver to tell him that his colleague wasn't there, so he should come and pick them up. She also said the teacher from the school did check up on them, but the principal didn't. He actually demanded a doctor's note stipulating Cwecwe's admission to the hospital, even though we reported what happened, and according to my knowledge, you get a doctor's note after you've been discharged, not while you're still admitted. The police also made things very difficult to me to the extent that I had to call the district commissioner to tell her there's now a statement from the child, and she gave me a cold shoulder as she responded with, okay. When she met up with the principal, he criticized her for not being professional enough about the SA of her daughter, this being the principal, by the way. The caretaker and the transport driver cooperated with the police, and the only person who has never cooperated with the police was the principal. He immediately called his lawyer and said he's not going to do any type of tests, meaning that he is not willing to take the necessary steps that would rule him out as the SAer. She also shared a letter from the school expelling Cwecwe. Most people now believe that the principal was definitely involved in this. Berkview College has also now been deregistered after they behaved the way they did. The Eastern Cape Department of Education has said one of the conditions for the registration of independent schools is that they must provide a safe and secure schooling environment. The SA case involving a 7-year-old learner at the school and the current investigation and handling of the matter by Berkview College has violated the conditions regarding the safety of learners. The department confirmed that they had opened an SA case in October of 2024, but the matter has not progressed to date. The department is concerned with the conduct of the school principal in relation to his apparent refusal to cooperate with the police. They're now going to start putting the pupils from Berkview College into other schools in the area. Once again, if this principal would be innocent, he could have very easily, cooperated with the authorities, provided them with DNA samples, but he would rather his school be deregistered than give a DNA sample. And if that doesn't show you the truth, I don't know what will. Somebody has given this little girl some sort of substance so she would be unconscious, and then they did horrific things to this child. Up until now, all the authorities have failed her. The school has failed her, and the only reason why people are actually starting to do their job is because they don't like the attention that is on them right now. This is the power of social media, and this is why it is so important that all of us come together and that we uplift these voices and that we make sure that these cases are heard, not just nationally but internationally. There's also a rumor that AfriForum is, standing behind this principal and protecting him. If you don't know, AfriForum pretends as if, they care about civil rights and stuff like that. But in truth, they're just a white supremacist group of white South Africans that believe that somehow they're being discriminated against because black South Africans and other minorities are getting equal rights. And if they could, they would bring apartheid back. I don't think I'm ever going to go too far by calling them the South African version of the Triple K. We have to make sure that this little girl's voice is heard so that she will in fact get her justice.
This is Cwecwe, and her story needs to go viral because she deserves justice. An accident happened back in October 2024 in which she was penetrated by an adult. Yes, by an adult in our school. 2 people, a gardener was being tested to check if the semen in which they found actually matches. It's not. But however, when they asked the principal for them to test him to check here if anything correlates with what they found in the girl based on the penetration, he refuses. He even went further to even allow the school in which he is the principal got deregistered. And the craziest part about this is that there's a company who supports Africans, because he's classified as an African, whatever they call it. They're trying to back him up for him not to face justice. Because if you're trying to refuse for you not to be tested to ensure that if you didn't do it, why don't you just make yourself available? Go for the test and forget about the story. So with this in mind, as you're coming across my video, ensure you share this, make it go viral, because this actually happened in October and this girl's mother has been fighting for justice and nothing has happened so far. And the other thing that's so sad about the situation is, I think when he penetrated this girl, I think he gave the girl something to drink or something to sleep because they rushed the girl to the bus. And the girl got home, the girl could not sleep. And the mother was just crying to the ask, what happened? What's led to this situation? The girl didn't speak up, like, because of the pain she's going through. Can you imagine? The pain she's going, is 7 years old. Then the mother didn't find out. Then going to investigate and everything, she's been on this since October last year. We're already approaching the mid of this year. October last year to this time. How could she not get justice? Now that it's not making it to the news is when the police are not trying to do something, because as a Caucasian person, there's not many he has to go through. He has to get away with things like this. Raping children in South Africa by the Africans is common, and because they don't get justice for it, because the victim don't get justice for this situation, they feel they can continue to do it. It will be an example that this needs to end. Black women are not your sex object. I don't want to say things because of TikTok, so I'm trying to keep it calm because my girlfriend is sleeping upstairs. I'm trying to. As a father, I am so upset to the core. Let's do it with Domiro. Respectfully, please give that wonderful young man the justice she deserves. A mother needs that justice for her daughter. Share this video and get justice for Cwecwe.
So firstly, I'd like to thank all the noisemakers when it comes to Cwecwe's story. If it wasn't for you guys, I think most of us wouldn't be aware of what is happening and what really happened when it came to this story. Because before we even heard the story from the mother herself, we had been hearing about it on social media. But some of us were not really understanding how deep this story goes until, when you hear one message constantly, only then do you really start to pay attention with what really is this message. And, it's really sad that now South Africa is becoming a state where things need to be brought out to social media for people to judge first. It's like we have to now weigh whether this is serious enough to be taken forward, whether, this is not that serious. Nah, we can let this go. Nah, this is quite serious. Actually, let's sign a petition and let something be done about it. Like, when did we get to that level? Because last I checked, cases of this nature are highly confidential. You understand? Worse, this has got a minor involved, and the nature of the case itself, it needs to be carried out in a confidential kind of manner. So now that code has already been broken, because now that confidentiality element of it has now been brought to the public. This is the story, this is what happened, and people, what is your take? That is how I view this, and that is not how it's supposed to be. It's very sad that we've now reached this extent when it comes to crime within our country. And, I think the other sad part about it is that all of us, in a way or so, we all have a Cwecwe story about us. You see, it's whether you yourself are a Cwecwe, because I've been seeing a lot of people coming up and they were like, this happened to me when I was around this age. This happened to me. This happened to me. A lot of people have experienced that type of abuse, if I may call it. And not only that, I also feel sorry for the Cwecwe mummies and daddies. I'm so proud of the way this particular mummy is dealing with this whole case. The way she is pushing herself to the edge for her daughter. Whatever it takes, she is willing to do to get justice for her daughter. Now, not all parents are that way. And not all parents have the ability to do what Cwecwe's mother has done for her daughter. It's whether some Cwekwes are not even believed by their parents. Some Cwecwe parents are too ashamed of the act itself, and they want it hidden, they want it buried, like, let people not hear that this happened, they just want to bury the story. They don't want to stand up for it and be bold until they get the end results. Some parents are, they would report the matter and then the suspect can't be found, and the investigation itself ends up drying out. Like, there are so many things that happen in such cases, but Cwecwe's mother is carrying this on her head, and she has stolen so many of our hearts with the way that she is carrying herself with what happened to her daughter. And in this case we have 3 suspects, right? The first one being Umalume, who told the child to go sweep the class or to go clean the class since the transport was late. The second Malume is the transport driver who picked the child up late from school, and a third suspect being the principal. Now, with the 2 other Malumes, the transport driver and the guy the caretaker, who asked this little girl to go and clean up the room, DNA swabs and samples were taken from them. That was fine. Now, with the principal, it's a whole different story. The principal refuses to take DNA swabs. He said he's going to contact his representatives being the AfriForum, which is another whole story that I can talk about, but not in this particular video. But one question that I do have for this principal is, because he looks mature enough. When I look at his pictures and all, this is a guy who looks mature enough to be her father, mature enough to be an uncle, mature enough to be a grandfather even. And I'm just thinking, you don't want to take a DNA test. You would rather risk your record as an individual. You've been so concerned about the record of the school. This is bad publicity for the school. This is a bad record for the school. But with your own personal record, your name and your pictures are being dragged through the mud for the whole of South Africa to see, just because you don't want to take a swab. Now, if you had taken that swab when the police requested for it, nobody would even know. This whole thing wouldn't have been blown out of the water the way that it is. Because your name now and the school's name is not only tarnished in that area that you're in, it's tarnished in the whole of South Africa. Your school has been deregistered, but more so, if you would make such a noise about keeping the record of your school at such a high standard, what about your own personal record as a person? Look at the way your pictures are being dragged through your mud. Your name is being dragged through the mud just simply because you don't want to take a swab. What message does this send to your own kids? What message does it send to your grandkids? To any relative or anyone who is associated with you, that such an occurrence happened at the school that you are the principal of, and yet you are refusing to take a DNA swab to clear your name. What message exactly does that send? Husband Bageti, the sad part for me is that lana sihabantu sesincenga nala kungafanelanga ukuthi sincenga khona. We have to lower our hearts, we have to lower our voices, we have to speak respectfully, even in cases that don't demand us to speak in a cautious manner. I see also a lot of mummies and daddies who have daughters. They are coming up. They are like, you know what? I have daughters as well, and could my daughter be next? This thing has got nothing to do with your child's gender. It's got absolutely nothing to do with your child's gender, because the hunter here is hunting both male and female children. If you hear the story, or if you took some time to listen to the story, this child was injured at the back and at the front. So that means on that particular day, that X marks the spot, was on Cwecwe. But that Cwecwe could have been a boy, it could have been a girl. The gender makes no difference. I am a mother of boy children, male children only, and I am just concerned as any other parent would be for their child. Because this particular time, this has got nothing to do with gender. My little girl, my little boy, it's a crime that could have happened to any gender child. And Buningi, there is a lot happening. There is a lot happening. Munzima, but one thing we will not do is keep quiet. Nalana, we want justice for Cwecwe. And we will be waiting, we will be watching
Cwecwe's story is not just about us fighting against the violation of that young 7-year-old girl. It is also about us fighting for the safety of your children. It is about us fighting for the safety of your nieces and your nephews. It is about fighting for the safety of neighborhood children. It is about us fighting for the safety of that young version of you that was violated by perpetrators. We must stand up against perpetrators that are taking away children's safe spaces. Enough is enough. There's a petition that is circulating around. Please sign that petition. If there's a march in your area, please attend that march, because the more audible we become about the injustice that happened to that young girl, is the more we create safe spaces for other children.
My lady, I understand what you're saying, but I'm telling you that this is very dangerous thinking. The assumption that a person in a position of authority will not be a predator is why we have so many children and even adults today that are coming out about being abused as children. Their parents thought the same way. The communities thought the same way. And in some cases, even when the community was informed, had evidence, they just didn't believe it. So we must be very careful with this kind of thinking and spreading this kind of messaging. We have just in Pretoria had a principal and teacher that has committed suicide after being arrested for child sexual abuse material that he was distributing amongst students. Okay, so we also have a huge amount of people that are being arrested for child sexual abuse material, not only having it, manufacturing it, so abusing children. So let's be very careful. Now, as for the principal, there's a very quick way to just ascertain whether you can be eliminated as a suspect or a person of interest, and that is giving a DNA sample. If you're refusing to do that, it is giving the public the view that you are hiding something. And what has also happened now is other rumors have come out about his previous position. Now, I'm not saying that those rumors are true or false or anything like that. What I'm saying is this thing is getting bigger and bigger. It was a simple thing. Give your DNA sample, get eliminated, make sure there is a thorough investigation, try and encourage all men that had contact with our victim, Cwecwe, to provide their DNA samples and get eliminated. It was very simple. But now we have AfriForum's private prosecution unit actually saying things like the child obviously knew who the perpetrator was. The child was also at home and at school, all those kind of things. But I just wanted to highlight, careful with this kind of thinking, especially if you have children. Do not assume that someone in a position of authority is safe.
Guys, stop posting Cwecwe's real pictures. Let's stop it. If you found the parents' social media, there was a time they were posting a happy child. Stop posting her picture. Her mom gave us a name, and Cwecwe. That's not her, I'm guessing, her ID name, because when this thing is over, Cwecwe still has to go back into society and live a normal life and not be known as a Lomtana Wadlwenguliwa, because they've released such intimate details of what has transpired into her. And she's going to get bullied. You do not need to post ithombe zaka Cwecwe or ama videos. Everybody knows when you say Cwecwe ukuthi ukhuluma ngobani. Let's fight for the child and not put her life at risk of bullying and other strange things that can continue to happen throughout her life if her face is plastered everywhere on social media and on the news. Let's respect the mom. Even when she was doing the interview, she does explain why Simbizwa Cwecwe. Guys, let's protect this little girl. She's already sekasokwele kakhulu. let's not add.
I don't know how many people this video is gonna reach, but I wouldn't be a mother and I wouldn't be a human being if I did not jump into TikTok and share my thought on this Justice for Cwecwe case. As you can see, guys, my eyes are red because I've been crying, and you know, I've gone through a few posts just to see what is it all about, because as you know, if you're on TikTok and if something is trending, you will get it on your For You page. And this is one thing that I am glad is trending, because as a South African, as a Black African, as a Black South African, it is disgusting to think what has happened to this poor soul. You know, I'm a mom of 2 children, and I cannot think of how I would feel if I was in Cwecwe's mom's parents' situation. And I am not surprised at the same time that this is not getting the mainstream media in South Africa as much as it should. And I think one of the biggest reasons for that is the fact that this is a little girl, is a Black girl. If it was a white girl, it would be a different story. And my question is, how long are Black people in South Africa are gonna have to suffer for injustices? Because this case happened, what, like last year? And still the police are not doing enough. The government is not doing enough. Even the people that should be fighting on this case, it feels like they're sleeping on it. And that's what's making me angry. And that's what's making me upset. If you're seeing this video and you don't know what I'm on about, just search on, you know, TikTok, hashtag justice for Cwecwe, and just try and follow the case, because I cannot believe we are going through this again. Like, when do we say enough is enough? Do we have to take up to the street as usual as Black people to get justice? Do we have to start screaming or burning buildings or doing something which is gonna make other races turn around and say, there we go? That's what Black people are known for, you know. And ngiyacasula guys, because if nobody's listening, you know, this is a little girl. And I just pray and I just hope, you know, something is going to come out of this. If you've got social media, whether it's here on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, guys, let's push. Let's fight for this little girl, especially if you're a mom, if you're a woman, because this could be your child, could be your niece. It could be somebody that you know, a relative. And I just feel like, let's push, guys. If we can push for other things on social media and make it happen, we need to put more pressure. We need to say enough is enough in the right way and make sure this little girl gets justice. So please, guys, let's do what we're known for, you know, and push this. Let's do more. And again, South Africa, Black people in South Africa, it's always the case. We are always on our own, because when it comes to serious matters like this, when the government should be making more noise, they don't. If it was a white kid, this will be a different story, you know, and that's what breaks my heart. So please, guys, share this video. And if you see other people that are posting for the same cause, make sure you repost and you share their videos as well until something is done, because we are all saying justice for Cwecwe.
I commend the parents of this young girl to come outside on social media to seek for justice of what happened to their daughter, because we know about the stigmatization of SA victims. Regardless, they always blame them that it was the shirt, it was the dress they wear. In this case already, there are people blaming the parents that this child was not dressed as a child, she was dressed as a grown-up. Maybe that's the reason that provoked the principal to do what he did to the child. You know, it's only in Africa where they will blame the victim. It's even because of this shame that some victims are going through. That's why most parents prefer to keep everything secret. They'll say it's better for them to keep everything secret than to deal with the public shame. You know, this particular situation now is a huge debate on the social media platform, because after all this is said and done, we pray that she gets justice of what happened to her. We pray that she should be compensated about the physical and the emotional trauma that she has gone through. But the thing is that after all this is said and done, this girl will still go back to the real world. The real world where people will still have opinions about her. That's one thing that is very, very heartbreaking in this situation, because, you know, there are some victims of this S8 issue, especially victims that their story go viral on social media. They will not, it's like what they will keep attracting is this kind of people, you know, all these pedo people.